What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here, back again with another horror review. Finally getting back into the horror reviews. Recently, on Physical Media Friday, I showed some of the 3 volumes from the Asia Extreme collection. Pallicides, Tartan, Asia Extreme. One volume is from South Korea, the other one from Japan, and the third one is from Thailand. And I had a commenter say that, in his words, The Ghost of Maynok slaps. So we're going to watch this one first. But actually, I watched Prey from the Japanese set first. So you're going to get a bonus review. Okay, so we're going to get to The Ghost of Maynok in a moment. And I decided to put that in the title. I'm not sure if it's conducive to put two films in the title or not. I know sometimes I have double reviews, but just a quick review of Prey. This came out in 2005, I believe. It really reminded me of the movie Whisper, which came out in 2007, so I guess it would be the other way around. If one film influenced the other, Whisper was influenced perhaps by this film. That film starred Josh Holloway and Michael Rooker, and it's about a kidnapped little boy who is not what he seems. This film is about a kidnapped little girl who is not who she seems. As you can imagine, as you see by the descriptions, a ghost story with a twist followed by another and another. Yeah, there's a few. So you have some down on their luck, I guess low-level criminals. They devise a plan, kidnap a young girl, and hide out in an abandoned school until the ransom demands are met. The problem is, when the gentleman, the young man, makes the call, the people on the other end say that she died a year ago. And so it's a little confusing. And it's actually, I believe it's actually his old elementary school, which is now abandoned. And it's a pretty creepy setting. There's a really long, super long slide out in the playground. It's something about it. It's just creepy. Eventually, he's got 3 friends that show up that are kind of get involved in this. And there's some betrayal involved. And a few people lose their hands. But it's not that bloody. It's not that extreme. And it's okay. It's not, it was pretty good. At the end, it got pretty emotional. It turned out, this guy... You kind of get the idea that these kidnappers, they're not the worst people in the world. They're just making some bad choices. And then you find out about the past of one of them, and it's really, really sad. A little confusing, I think, as far as who the ghost girl is, because they kind of threw out 2 possibilities. At least that's the way I saw it. There's a couple looking for their missing daughter, and a psychic is telling them that, I'm sorry to tell you this, but she's dead. And they're saying, oh, no, she's not. They just won't believe it. Pretty good. I did prefer The Ghost of Maynok, and we'll get to that. That's the main review here. I think this is a kind of a famous ghost story in Thailand, and it definitely is a little different. Excellently grotesque, says Film Threat. Okay, well, it's not the grossest movie ever. There's some pretty disturbing scenes. There's one pretty gruesome kill, which is like sort of shades of David Warner from The Omen, involving glass. 100 years later, the ghost has returned. A haunting love story. Yes, there is a love story involved. A young newlywed couple acquires an old abandoned house that soon brings them into contact with a vengeful spirit of horror and despair. While the ghost protects the couple from unscrupulous visitors, at first it becomes apparent that it expects a terrible favor in return. Only by setting the spirit free will they have a chance of surviving the truth. Its wrath. Yeah, so a somewhat perhaps shady guy sells this young couple a house. They both have really nice parents and really good friends that help them out a lot. Really a very interesting look in Thai culture. There's one scene where the couple meets on a bridge, and she says something like, oh, give me a kiss goodbye, and he's going to go to work, and he's like, well, we're in public, and then he covers up his face with like a notebook or something when she leans in to kiss him. So they're very sort of conservative. It's mostly in a sort of an urban setting. Just kind of cool to see like a different city landscape with elevated trains. And then also there's some scenes in the country. They're sort of, I guess, more out in the suburbs, and the house that they buy is indeed a fixer-upper. So you have perhaps an unscrupulous real estate agent. Then they're going to I suppose a monk for spiritual advice. He has someone around him who's kind of shady, And then as they're moving in, there's two local thieves scoping out the place and waiting for their chance to rob them. And eventually the new husband, kind of gets injured for a while, and the female protagonist kind of takes over for much of the story. And essentially it involves them inheriting a curse. And by the way, their names are like Mock and Knock. So that it's kind of cute because they'll be like, Mock loves Knock. And then she'll say, Knock loves Mock. Well, wouldn't you know it, centuries earlier, there was another couple named Mock and Knock. And the male was conscripted into a battle. And when he came home, it was kind of like I won't really tell you, but he became kind of an outcast because it seemed like he was speaking to ghosts. And that's where the curse comes from. Those flashback scenes are really well done. I thought they really looked pretty cool. It doesn't take too long for the first person to buy the farm, and I have to be honest, the special effect does not look that great. They do get a little bit better. And it's basically a pretty good story. Also, when the young lady is shopping, she is compelled to buy a disc, a pretty much like a plain, kind of an oval-shaped, white sort of medallion, and that turns out to be an important piece of the puzzle. And when I mean piece of the puzzle, I mean it fits exactly in somewhere. And when I finally realized, I was like, oh, right, it's kind of staring you in the face the whole time, because they are seeing visions of May Knock, this ghost. And if you look at the cover, maybe you can, if you're really clever, you can probably figure it out. So she also has a grandma who knows all the ghost stories, and there's some pretty good, she's the one that tells her the stories, and that's when you get the flashbacks. It's just a pretty good ghost story from sort of a different perspective, and I did enjoy it. Fantastic title sequence, like when you put the disc in. Take a look at this. How cool is it? Yeah, it was pretty good. Not really extreme, per se, but a very solid ghost story. And the climax is not super over the top, which I appreciate. And so does Gus. Gus appreciates it too. But, shh. Yeah, the climax is not over the top, and I appreciate that. I think a lot of times in Hollywood productions, they tend to want to throw the kitchen sink at you. Like the description said, there is kind of a conclusion and then a little twist, and I thought it was actually pretty clever. Yeah, just a solid ghost story. Definitely recommend it. This has been my favorite so far. Let me know which one of the Korean films you would like me to rewatch next, because I have seen all three of these. And what are your thoughts about either one of these two films that I discussed here today? Come back again soon for more horror reviews. Thanks.